myself, got to manage my mind. The task is not easy, but the higher heights I climb.
I'm determined to succeed, so no excuses, please. If you don't want success in life, then don't hinder me. You are a CEO. You are a CEO.
I've got to manage myself, I've got to manage my mind. The task is not easy, but the high heights I climb.
I'm determined to succeed, so no excuses, please. If you don't want success in life, then don't hinder me.
Hello, everyone. Happy evening to you. And it is July 1st. And as promised, our leadership series continues. And tonight, we talk about the 4 L's of leadership. Now, I know we're headed toward July 1st where they talk about the independence of America, but we're talking about the independence of you and me and how we can take control by learning how to be better leaders, both in our personal and professional life. This is a show that I know you are going to be so excited to see, but if you are out there and you have not yet subscribed, let's put that back up. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do. Go to URCO, subscribe, hit that little bell on there to get notifications, and also make sure you join our Facebook group called the URCO Movement so you can stay connected to all that we are doing. But as I said, tonight, this is the show that we talked about last week, the 4 L's of leadership, and I am confident you're going to get something out of this show. So make sure you get your pen and pad and get prepared because we got a lot to discuss here tonight. Now, here's the thing. When we think about the 4 L's of leadership, when we think about leadership in general, there's so many ingredients, attributes, and different things that we need to have as leaders to succeed. And so I told you I was going to have a special guest on this show, Mr. Jeff Long, and he's going to be joining me in just a moment. We used to work together. Now, I can tell you, Jeff Long is someone that I can talk about for a long time because I know him personally and I know what he's accomplished. And his journey has so many insights in it that we'll be able to draw from it. and we're going to partner together to go through these 4 L's, and I promise you there'll be something you can take away. So again, if you haven't already, get you your pen and paper or grab your cell phone and be prepared to take some notes. So before we jump into that, though, I want to play a short clip, and this is from an old movie called Remember the Titans. And sometimes you have to take a step back, and you can learn a lot from sometimes these types of environments and even movies and shows that really exhibited leadership on different levels. So take a look at this to kind of get us warmed up for the night, and when we come back, we're going to jump in to the 4 L's. We'll be right back.
Well, I'm Coach Boone. I'm going to tell you all about how much fun you're going to have this season. This is no democracy. It is a dictatorship. I am the law. If you survive camp, you will be on the team. If you survive.
Now, you think you're doing these boys a favor, taking them aside every time I come down, protecting them from Big Bad Boone. You challenge my authority in front of the entire football team, Coach. You're cutting my legs from under me. You ain't doing these kids a favor by patronizing. You're crippling them. You're crippling them for life. Now, I may be a mean cuss, but I'm the same mean cuss with everybody out there on that football field.
Each one of you will spend time every day with a teammate of a different race. You will learn about him and his family, his likes, his dislikes. You will report back to me until you meet every one of your teammates. If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground, we too will be destroyed. Just like they were. I don't care if you like each other or not, but you will respect each other. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll learn to play this game like men.
Is this even about football anymore? Or is it just about you?
I'm a winner. I'm going to win.
Everything's not always about winning and losing.
You think I was blinded by my own ambition? Maybe I pushed them too hard.
Boys are doing all that you can do. Anybody can see that. Win or lose, we're gonna walk out of this stadium tonight with our heads held high. Do your best. All anybody can ask for.
I know football. What you did with those boys. You were the right man for the job, Coach.
Hello, everyone. I'm back here in studio, and as promised, I have my good friend Jeff Long. Is so happy to have you on the show.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Listen, let me tell y'all a little background before we jump in here. Now, we used to work together. He supported my business as an entrepreneur, and he was an executive in my company. And then to see the career he had before me and after, it's just been phenomenal. Now, I know your resume is long, so I mean, you went to Purdue, was an engineer at Purdue. I know you had a great career at Bechtel Engineering.
Right.
And then I know that now you're head of operations excellence at Genentech, which is a global firm I know owned by Roche. And I also know you're a Master Six Sigma Black Belt. And these are just some of your accomplishments. So I know he's very modest, but listen, this is someone that I really admire in business. And so before we jump in, is there anything you want to say, just saying hello to the people here and being here on COTV here?
Yeah, just say it's a pleasure to be here. I've been following some of the programs and they're really outstanding, so I'm just glad to be able to participate.
Well, listen, you are going to participate too, so I like this because we're going to pull some from you. And I came up with these 4 L's of leadership, and because in my experience, these are just things that I've seen are so critical to leadership. Now, I know in your journey going through different jobs, learning different concepts and seeing different leaders, I want you just to work with me and let's just kind of talk organically about some of these.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
So let's jump in. So the first one I want to talk about is the first L, everyone. So it is the word listen, okay? And what I put here is being willing to hear the people. And, you know, Jeff, I can't say enough about how many people that I see are in leadership positions, but not necessarily good leaders.
Right.
But a good leader is able to listen. And when you stop being willing to listen, you know, you might have the title, but not really leading anyone. How important do you think this is, this attribute of being able to listen?
No, that's essential. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, you know.
That's beautiful,
listen twice as much,
yeah.
Right? But I think the thing is that I've found is that the listening, one thing, it really helps with your ability to lead people is that, you know, that you connect with them, right?
Right.
I was at a leadership team meeting one time, and we were trying to emphasize leadership, and I asked them a provocative question. I asked them how was their followership.
Yeah, right,
And
right,
I said,
right.
well, what do you mean? I said, well, are the people, you know, how far are they behind you as far as following your example? Are they right there, or are they, you know, are you leaving them in the, are you listening to them? Are you connecting with them?
Right.
And they found that they really weren't. So, but definitely, listening is essential.
Well, you said something so, you know, impactful when you said about connecting with people, you know, so it seems like a part of listening. So there's the 2 ears and 1 mouth, which I love that, right? But there's also the side of you show you're listening to by the decisions you make. So I can make a decision in a department or a team or even in a household that makes a person feel like I'm not listening.
Right.
So do you also feel that the ability to connect what you're hearing with the decisions you make is also critical to being a good listener?
Absolutely. That's the demonstration that you are hearing. And that's another thing, listening and then hearing, you know, making
That's
sure
good.
that, you know,
Good.
making that
Say a little bit
connection,
more
right?
about that.
Yeah, because one of the things you want to, and I think it goes with what you mentioned about the actions that you see, you know, and a lot of times when you're having a conversation, let's say you're having a conversation with an employee, and to make sure that they get heard, you want to make sure that you kind of connect with them and that you kind of paired back even maybe some of the things that they say to make sure that you...
And that's what they call mirroring, right?
Mirroring, yeah.
So mirror it back to them to really make sure they see that you've connected with what they're saying. And so has there been, can you think of any leaders that you worked with in any part of your life, you know, that you felt was a really good listener?
Hey, beside you?
Well, listen, we'll take me out. We'll take me out.
Well, I remember a vice president I reported to at Bechtel one time. His name was Charlie Harper. And he had the gift of being able to connect with people. And he could get in front of people in a very obscure way. He could be under a lot of pressure, but he had a way of being very calm and being able to connect with people and show that that they're heard. Right. And a lot of the kind of compassion comes through with that too, you know. Right. Because one thing, you know, listening, but then listening to gain information so you can be able to be helpful. Yeah. So it's a two-way thing, right? It's not just to listen, okay, now I got that, I can file it away, but I'm listening now so I can be able to help or maybe add to the other person.
Now, you really hit something critical there, is that it's not just the act of listening, but it's how you make people feel while you're listening that determines if they're really going to give you all that they have. Because if I don't make you feel comfortable, like I really value what you're telling me and I'm really willing to take it to heart, you might be going through the exercise of listening, but I feel like it's not being received a certain way, so then that dictates what I really tell you.
Yeah. And a big thing now with the humble leadership, you know, servant leadership. Where a lot of times, you know, leaders might be thinking about what they're going to say, right? Because they're so much in the mode of telling, right? So you want to make sure that you actually hear the person so that you can actually, you know, connect with them and not be thinking ahead of time of what you're going to say or, you know, what's on your mind.
Forming your response before you've heard what they said. Absolutely. So this is really good. So we're going to go into another one of the L's here. You can see we got a lot out of that one. And this is another big one. And I can't say enough about you on this one, Jeff. Learn. So equip yourself with knowledge. Now, I mean, leading also is about knowing that, in other words, I can't lead in things that I don't understand myself. It's very hard to do that, I should say. Now, you can always have people that are more knowledgeable on your team in some particular area or discipline, but you gotta be willing to learn enough to even appreciate what they're doing for you. So tell me about, learning and how important you feel that is in leading.
Yeah, no matter what I've achieved, I consider myself a lifelong learner. And even when going through some of the things you mentioned, you never learn enough, right? There's always something more. And so I think the moment you stop learning is the moment you're starting to digress.
That's really good.
When you learn, too, it's not, I'm just learning not for my self-interest, but learning to be able to help others, others that I lead, and to be able to be familiar.
Right. Now, that's really good because most people, when they think about learning, they think about adding to their, belt or trophy case of things that they now know versus saying, sometimes I'm actually learning to be a better leader for other people. So taking the time to learn the experience or what others might be going through so that when you try to lead them, you understand their world. I think that's really important. Yeah. So tell me this about learning, because you've learned a lot. So I've noticed you, from certifications to all sorts of, disciplines in business and models. How have you pushed yourself to learn? I mean, how do you approach learning new things?
Well, that's a good question. I just
you just do it?
Well, no, I think you learn. There's always a reason, but one of the things is the learning is kind of purposeful. It's for a reason. I don't learn just to learn something.
Right.
I learn to be able to apply something.
That's good.
And so that's one of the things. It's not just academic exercise.
Right.
I had some friends who like lifelong learners, but professional learners, but they never get to the implementation. And that's one of the key things. You got to be able to transform that knowledge that's coming in there into action. And so that's really the key.
So do you feel like when you're, let's take, when you decided you were going to go into Six Sigma, for example, right? And learn more about whether it was quality or being able to drive error out of something and all the deep statistical things that are involved in that. When you had a purpose in mind, is that what drives you to be able to learn? Because again, you're strengthening your leadership when you learn new things that can add to a company or a business. But was it that you saw a specific goal in sight?
Yeah, part of that is it, but the other part is the challenge, though, too.
That's good.
That's one of the things when you're learning, you want to continue to push yourself, to challenge yourself, and not just to rest on your laurels, because there's always other opportunities. And they help to unlock other opportunities that you might not have right now.
Right.
It's just like when I left Bechtel and then come and working with you and partnering in a small business, developing enterprise, that developed a different kind of a muscle, different kind of a learning experience that you wouldn't get in a big corporation.
Exactly. So again, a part of leadership then too, for everyone listening out there, a part of it is being able to face and accept challenge, right? Which learning, you have to learn to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah, very good. So let's go to another L here. This is really good. So, one of the things too that we have to do is laugh. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean for us to just start cracking up right now, but but I feel like it's really important for a leader to be able to make people happy and to understand, are they happy? So, I think, I put in that, put that back up there again, be conscious of keeping people happy. Now, I think that's a big one. So not making them happy, but keeping them happy. So a leader is able to connect with their followers or whoever they're responsible for, understand where they're at, and keep them happy. What do you say about that?
Well,
I like that laugh to start it off. Yeah, that's really good.
It's like a merry heart's like medicine, right?
That's
One
right.
other thing, it really helps. A lot of times, when you're leading people and you're in situations, you have some very challenging, tough projects, deadlines, and all that. But just to keep the peace, to keep the morale, that merry heart, that laughter is very important to kind of help inspire.
Right.
But then you mentioned about to keep them laughing, and sometimes they might not be happy. It says happy. Right. But just to get to that sometimes takes some vulnerability on your side too. Be able to laugh at yourself as a leader, right? And be able to put yourself out there.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because sometimes the leader is not just always to be able to connect with people, sometimes you got to show yourself. You got to be a bit transparent at times, right? And so sometimes, you know, admit your mistakes and that type of thing. Being able to laugh at yourself is a good one. Because if others can laugh and you can laugh with them, then it kind of helps to.
Right, and you're showing them, showing them how to be happy and how to keep good energy when challenging things come up. If they're watching how you handle that, you know, they know a mistake was made or something came up or something happened. They're watching how you respond to that. So you're saying that vulnerability can create a foundation for people to.
And you mentioned keep them happy. Sometimes it's very difficult, especially if you're going through change. You might have a situation where you might have layoffs, you might have just uncertainty in the business. And sometimes they're not going to be happy. But I guess the more you can create that environment of celebration, that you care. And once you do that, that kind of at least kind of make the moment more light and more.
Right, but I think too, and you know about the Japanese word kaizen, we talk about in lean a lot, right?
Absolutely.
In terms of, you know, continuous change, changing for the better. It's the pursuit of that excellence. It's the pursuit of happiness that I think is where the leadership comes in. Not that you always arrive at that, but I'm conscious that I should be pursuing that. Because the day that I turn it off and say, you know, people will never be happy, forget it, then I start to lead that way. Or I start leading not caring how you feel because I feel like I can never really change you anyway. But what I'm saying is then we should be of the mindset as a leader that I should always be conscious and trying to go in that direction. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. That kind of helps inspire them too.
Right. And they know that you're leading in a way that is conscious of their condition. And I think that's so important. So tell me one example of in your career where you felt people were, you know, it could be in a department, a work team, or what have you, where you feel people were really felt pretty good. I don't know how happy they were, but they felt pretty good about the leader or the assignment or the project. And then a time where people were it was like not a good situation.
Okay, well, I think around bonus time, they're pretty happy.
That's a good one, yeah.
But I think, when people feel that they're a part, they're able to contribute of their talents, you know, is a happy situation. And the team that we have, when people are able to do that, when they have challenging projects and are able to kind of bring that in and to do that, it's kind of where that joy level, that happiness level is a little bit higher, where there's more smiling. You can see it in the team meetings, people more engaged and that type of thing. So when you have like an engaged type of a work environment, people tend to be, we can call it happy, but they tend to be more connected, and that shows up in actions, on how they behave.
Now that's really good what you're saying. So you're tying in when people feel better. I often say the best way to motivate people is to help them do things that they enjoy within the work that needs to be done. So if you're, like you're saying, if people are more engaged and more connected and they feel like their work is meaningful, things like that do generate happiness. So I would imagine that some of the situations that you experienced that weren't that way were when it was the opposite. People felt disengaged, lack of clarity, that type of thing.
Exactly.
So does anything come to your mind?
Well,
is it too many to name?
Yeah, well, there's a few. There's a few. But definitely uncertainty. That's the one. You know, when you have uncertainty in the organization, change, where people don't know about the impact of them from a job situation, can tend to make that environment
just
less
pull out that positive energy. Absolutely. So,
or if they're not really being fully utilized in their capabilities. You mentioned about their talents and how to make them, successful in that. If they feel that they're not able to contribute that's a demotivator for them or unhappy. Moment.
Absolutely. And you know well the 7 wastes that Toyota kind of brought to the business world, and then later they added one called underutilized ability. That is a waste and also directly related to how people feel. And so I think as a leader, being able to see untapped potential and being able to see when people's ability is being underutilized is just as critical as, making sure that you get the most skilled person to do something.
for sure.
So let's go to this last L. So I'm really enjoying this myself and talking this through. We talked about listening, we talked about learning, we talked about laugh. Now the last L we want to cover is really, really critical, and this is to live, and that is be an example to others. So to model the behavior that you're looking for. And I know, you've done a lot of work even in behavioral modeling and working in different, behavioral models to help guide how leaders develop people and things. How important is this about how you model the behavior you're looking for as a leader?
That's critical. I heard someone once say that your walk talk has to match your talk.
That's
and
good.
So you got to be able to demonstrate because they're looking at you, right? So if there's a incongruity between what you say and what you do, then they're not going to be able to follow you effectively. Yeah.
So do you feel one of the things that I know too is that when you think about how to be an example of what the behavior you want, I think it's really important that you've defined exactly what excellence is supposed to be, so that even as a leader you can line up to that standard. So a part of living up to something is first there's got to be something defined. So would you say too, we talk about this a lot in businesses, standardization, what is the standard that we're trying to get to? How important do you think that is?
Right, no, that's critical. And then one way it could be called that expectation, right? What's expected of me as a leader from my team, from my peers, from my superiors, right? So that's important because that expectation is there. Now they have something by which to gauge you, right? Because they're looking. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you want to be genuine, you want to be caring, you want to be able to seek their success.
Right.
And so, that's very important.
So in your role, because I know there's a lot you've done in different positions, tell me a little bit about things that you've done to try to use some of these things we've talked about today as a leader to help shape how you influence and impact people.
Right. Well, one of it is a lot of self-reflection. That's one thing, because you want to be able to know how you're leading, right?
Right.
You mentioned about live and how are you being? What is your how do you show up, really, right?
Right.
And how do you present yourself?
What emanates from it?
And are you followerable, right? Are you a leader? Are you a leader that earns that, right? And so that's one of the things that is very important. You want to be genuine. You want to be able to demonstrate what you say what you're going to do, and do what you say.
Right.
I think that's important, because they're looking for that consistency, and they're looking also to see how much you care. That was another phrase I heard one time. People don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care.
Right.
And that's another thing too. It's kind of that demonstration of interest. And you lead. Leaders aren't there for themselves. Leaders are there for the people.
Right.
So we're here to serve the people, and so that's an important part.
Absolutely. So with what you're saying then, in different work teams, and I know you do a lot of work even internationally too, is there any differences in how you approach leadership in America versus, I know you spend a lot of time in Europe, and is there any differences in how you approach leadership in that regard?
Well, they're different. You got to read your dashboard, right? You got to see how people behave and what they're like, what their expectations are, and then you kind of fall into it. Example, just on something simple on communication. This is a real interesting eye-opener for me, where on the, let's say in Germany, very formal culture, in Switzerland as well. And then, let's say if you're doing an email, you'll start out at the beginning like, "Dear Michael."
Yeah.
And then you go on. And then as you start to develop a relationship, it might be, "Hi, Michael."
Yeah, right.
And so we had this conversation with one of the leaders over there, and I said, "Okay, yeah, but when you do a text, you wouldn't do that. You would just send out a, BFF or whatever." He said, "Oh, no, you would do the same thing. You would start out with 'Dear Michael' on a text."
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, I just use that as an example because you got to understand the culture, the norm, the expectation, how they behave, but that would influence how you interface with them.
Right. Now, that's two different countries, but that could also be two different just situations.
Yeah.
So the same exercise you're talking about might be an exercise I use because I'm dealing with a different team, different department, personal versus business.
Yeah.
So what you're really saying is the ability to read the environment and adjust to it. And so I take it that you've had to do that in different roles that you've been in, is make adjustments to how you work with the people.
Right.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
So let me ask you this final thing. What would you say, if just some final thoughts to people out there that are in leadership roles, or they're about to be in leadership roles, and they've learned from us tonight about these 4 L's, but you know, they're thinking about how to take that next step. What's some words you would say to them?
Well, they need to listen, for sure. And I think the other thing is just to be genuine also, because people are looking for leadership and they're looking for examples. And so that part about live, you want to definitely demonstrate what you say and to be able to do that. And I think the thing is as a leader, you want to be able to see how can I most effectively be able to be of service to the team that I'm leading. And if you have that mindset, then I think the rest of it will take care of itself.
Very well said.
So it's more other-centered as opposed to yourself.
Absolutely. I love talking about other-centered leadership. That's what it's all about. Well, listen, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. Now, I want to ask that you come back for some other shows where we can get into some, you know, he's being reserved and we're talking about leadership, but I pull the whiteboard out and we get into some business models, it comes to life. And so, and y'all know I love the whiteboard. So you got to come back and we have some fun on the whiteboard and maybe talk through some business concepts. But thank you so much. I know you're headed out of town soon, but thank you so much for stopping by. And again, so we're gonna go to a quick clip from a really good business leader we all know in Steve Jobs, and he's going to just give a few thoughts as you think about the people that work with us as leaders, how we should think about them. And you know, Apple is a very innovative company, and so I want you to listen to this clip, and we come back, I'm going to close out the show and tell you about our next exciting show. We'll be right back.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that work for you.
Oh, yeah. No, we have wonderful arguments.
And do you win them all? Or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. No, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win. So, otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
All right, everyone, as you heard from Steve Jobs, a great business leader that went through many, many different journeys and challenges, and even battling his health. As you can see, that was in his latter days, but he had learned a lot by then. And a lot of the things you heard tonight in my discussion with Mr. Jeff Long are things that you see in tip-top leaders that have learned from experience, that you have to listen, you have to learn, you have to keep people laughing, and you also have to live by modeling the behavior that you want to see. And so I hope you listen closely to those things we covered tonight, because if you are out there and you want to grow as a leader, you have to begin to exercise the skills needed for leadership to be able to grow. If you want to be a leader, you have to act like a leader. It's a responsibility to be a leader. Leadership is not something you just choose to do. It's something that you have to actually decide that you're going to make a commitment to grow in. And as you grow in it, you'll find yourself being able to do more and more that people are willing to follow. Remember, the key to leading is understanding when you look behind you, is there anyone following you? And just because they report to you doesn't mean they follow you. And so that's a big difference. But if you use some of these 4 L's, I guarantee you, you can get people being willing to follow you to a point of success, as long as you know where you're going and you're using the right principles to get there. So having said that, this is You Are a CEO, and if you are here for the first time, we want to remind you to make sure to go to youareceo.com and register to join the movement. After you register, you can go and download our apps, both for iPhone and Android. And as always, we want you to know that we live, learn, and earn, and we have apps and community and technology where you can live the life of You Are a CEO. So make sure you get involved and find out more about how to have mind fitness as well as a success-oriented community around you at all times. We're learning all the time about the You Are a CEO philosophy, as well as many personal and professional development topics, and we're earning by being a part of our affiliate program. So listen, you can spread the word about You Are a CEO and actually earn an income. So make sure you find out more about that. Now, I want you to be prepared for our next show. Our next show will be on July 8th. And again, this will be about reinventing yourself. And I can tell you, this is a show you are not going to want to miss, because this is what it's all about today. You have to keep reinventing yourself. You have to keep adapting. You have to keep adjusting to continue to succeed in your career as well as in your life. So don't miss this show. You're going to want to hear the things that you'll learn on this show. So we'll see you then, and until we meet again, let the whole world know that you are a CEO, and spread the word about the movement that really matters. We'll see you next week.